Hey guys, so today I wanted to share a personal story with you because I think it's going to help women out there. Hopefully it will touch the right person at the right time and give them the right information to, help them overcome a horrible time, or help give them the information that they need to have a better quality of life. Now, first of all, I've been in the fitness industry for over 7 years now, I think. I mean, it's probably going on 8 years now. And, it's quite a long time in the fitness industry. Our industry has a very high turnover with personal trainers and fitness coaches. A lot of people come and go in the industry. So, because I've had so much experience, my experience has really influenced the way that I coach my clients. It influences what I teach when it comes to weight loss as well. And my approach to weight loss is quite holistic. And, it's not overly holistic either, but I do take quite a holistic approach. Now, when I first entered the fitness industry, I didn't take that approach. My approach was very much Biggest Loser style, boot camp, like yelling at my clients, no excuses, that kind of thing. I just remember yelling at people, horrible, so horrible. But that was when I first, joined the industry, and like anything, experience makes you change your technique. It betters you. You get better at what you're doing. So over the years, through personal experience and also experience with my clients, has really influenced my technique. But, it's probably, I can't even remember how many years ago now, probably five years ago now. And, this one event happened in my life, and it really changed, first of all, the way that I coach my clients. Second of all, it really changed the way that I looked after myself. It really changed my view on what health and fitness really is. And it also really changed my view on the health and fitness industry, like big time. So for me, coming from a place where it's, all or nothing, train till you vomit, hardly, really starve yourself, go on hardcore diets, never have cheat meals, all those kinds of things, and then moving over to more of a holistic approach, really changed, first of all, the results that I got for my clients. My experience enabled me to have more understanding and empathy for my clients and what they're going through as well. And I truly believe that health and fitness is not just about exercising and nutrition. It's really about your whole life and your whole lifestyle, because if there's something negative going on in your life, it's going to influence what you eat. It's going to influence whether or not you exercise. It's going to influence how motivated you feel. It's going to influence whether or not you binge eat or binge drink. So health and fitness needs to be a whole thing. You need to look at your whole life and figure out things that are negative, things that are bringing you down, things that are horrible, negative for you. And so this is where this is what came about for me. So like I said, it was probably about 5 years ago now. And if you haven't been following me for a while, I probably haven't talked about this for a while. But I just thought I would do a video on it again, because I haven't talked about it for a long time. And, like I said before, it may help someone. And anyway, so at that stage in my life, I was, just to give you a bit of a background information, I was changing jobs, but it was, I was a personal trainer, but I was moving from one studio to a completely different suburb and had to start my business again. So I was starting with no clients. So I was very stressed out about that, but very stressed out in the financial, from a financial point of view as well, because I still had rent to cover. I still had, food, all those kinds of things to still pay for, right? But I took a chance, and, that's how I am. So I had work stresses. I had financial stresses at that stage. I was moving from the city to Bondi, and I was trying to find a place, and I don't know whether you've ever tried to find a place in Bondi around summertime. It's horrible. There are no places. hundreds of people go for the same place and you just get knocked back. And I had a deadline as well, because where I was moving from was a horrible situation, so I had that to deal with too. My roommate was a horrible person and was being really horrible to me, so I kind of had to get out of there. So that was on my mind as well. So, you know, anything, you know, when you're dealing with horrible people, it creates negative energy, right? So I had that to deal with. At the same time, I was also exercising a lot because I was training for bodybuilding competition. So I was over exercising, I was under eating. So I know that now, but in the time, you know, I was still very new to the industry. I still had a lot to learn, you know, a lot to learn. So I was really under eating. For my output, you know, I was running around everywhere. Like, I would be working like really long hours, but also in between. So for example, in my lunch break, I'd have to friggin' run to Bondi to look at a place and then run back and get to clients and all this. It was a very stressful time. I was drinking lots and lots of coffee. But here's the thing, at the time, I didn't think I was stressed out. You know, I was just like a go, 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 go type of person. Look, I was like 25 years old. You know, and you don't think that, you know, you just don't think anything of it. You just go, go, go. And anyway, what happened was, you know, I was running on that, you know, at that, functioning at that level for a good few months. And what happened was, obviously I did my 2 fitness comps, which did not help. That seriously just, that put the icing on the cake. And I think it was like a few weeks or maybe even a month after that, I completely burnt out and I could not get out of bed for 10 days. Like me, 25-year-old, just done a fitness comp, just had abs, you know, thought I was fit as a fiddle, thought I was so healthy and fit because I, you know, ate really, really super healthy, and, you know, I was a personal trainer and all that kind of stuff. And I literally, like, I mean, literally could not get myself out of bed. I didn't have the energy to get myself out of bed. And what happened was I burnt out. My body couldn't take anymore. And with things like this, generally it's years of build up. So I think that, you know, you might feel tired or whatever, you know, for a few years you just feel a bit tired, but then, you know, something like this where I went through a really stressful period, it really pushes over that boundary. So you might be run down at the moment, but you kind of push through it because you just feel a bit tired or whatever. But, you know, when you go through a really stressful period, things like this can happen. Like, it's just horrible. Basically, yeah, my body basically said that, you know, there was warning signs there. I mean, I'm sure there was, but I didn't really think of it. You know, you're not in tune. I wasn't in tune with it, with my body in that way. I was just all about smashing it hard at the gym and being hard on my diet, and that was kind of all it was, and that's all I focused on. But really, yeah, you know, my body basically was saying, look, if you don't slow down and if you don't stop, I'm going to make you rest. I'm going to make you stop. And that's what our bodies do. You know, if you don't listen to it, your body will make you. It's like when you get a cold. You know, I feel like most of the time when you start to get a cold or you feel run down, that's your body trying to tell you to slow down and to rest. And, you know, to eat better or drink more water or whatever it may be. It's a sign. And then, you know, if you don't do anything about it, you keep pushing through, you come down with the cold or the flu, right? So our bodies are always giving us signs and signals. Anyway, so I burnt out, and it's also known, well, for me it was adrenal fatigue. You might or might not have heard of that. And it's interesting because at the same time, well, I was very lucky because a girlfriend of mine actually was a PT as well, and she had the exact same thing as me around the same time. So it was great that I had her there because I felt like I was going crazy. And interestingly enough, about a year later, my dad had the same thing, and he it was because he was really stressed at work, really high stress levels, and then he ended up retiring. So I'm not crazy. This is not, you know, I haven't made this up. This seriously does happen no matter what age you are. And, you know, I talked about this a few years ago, and I had lots of people message me and say that they've experienced the same thing. So it's something that's not uncommon. But my instance, I think, was quite bad, the fact that I couldn't get out of bed for 10 days. But after after I kind of got over that 10-day period and I could actually start doing things again, this is how I felt. So it took me about 12 months to get over it. First of all, I couldn't exercise, right? I couldn't exercise. It just made me feel dizzy. It was just too much for my body. And that's it's a really hard pill to swallow when you are a personal trainer in the fitness industry. And I was so used to running on my ego back then. Like I assumed that I had to look the part to be a PT. I mean, you do have to look the part, but what I mean is I had to have abs and that's all I had to offer. That's what I thought back then. So it was a really hard pill to swallow, because here I was trying to motivate clients to exercise, and yet I wasn't exercising. Helping clients to lose weight, but yet I was gaining weight, right? I was gaining weight because I couldn't exercise, and I was gaining weight because I was also eating, I felt horrible about myself. I was eating bad foods. And then I also had the pressure and of work colleagues, because they didn't understand, and they didn't understand why I wasn't training, or why I wasn't training hard like them, and they just thought I was lazy or whatever. And I kind of felt like a bit of a fraud, and I used to beat myself up about it, when actual fact I should have just relaxed, because it wasn't helping the situation. I was beating myself up about it, the fact that I couldn't exercise, that I felt so horrible, that everyone was giving me a hard time at work because I couldn't exercise. I was so worried about what other people thought, instead of really thinking and caring about my body, which is what it needed at that time. I needed rest. I needed to give myself a break. I needed to understand that this is where I currently was. Like, this is where I was, and that's what I, had to overcome and deal with. So it was quite horrible. And like I said, it took about a good year of going, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's a very funny condition, adrenal fatigue. The other thing as well is you just feel horribly tired, and I'd be so tired that I'd do my morning clients and I'd come home and have a sleep, right? So I'd be up at 6 or whatever it may be, and then I'd have to come home by 10 or 11 a.m. and have a sleep because I was so tired. And then I'd also have another nap in the afternoon around about 3 p.m. as well. And then I couldn't keep my eyes open at night time. I was just horribly tired. And the other thing was that I had horrible brain fog. So I couldn't concentrate. I found it really hard to concentrate on things, and to have my attention on things for a long time. But that, and also depression and anxiety as well was a big thing. And, I think a lot of it was because I was beating myself up. I cared so much about what people were thinking of me. I felt like a fraud, like I said, instead of really taking care of myself and worrying about myself and worrying about my body. But so I guess the message that I really want to share today, and the reason why I've shared this story again, is because a lot of people, we assume that if something like that hasn't happened to you, you assume that you're a machine. A lot of women assume they're machines. Like, some of my clients, I look at them and I think, how the hell do you do what you do? They're running around after kids that are young, that have full-time jobs, they still manage to go to the gym, and they're just running 100 miles an hour all the time, running off coffee, all that kind of thing. They're just constantly on the go. And I want women to understand that, like I said, you aren't a machine. You aren't unbreakable. Like, our bodies aren't unbreakable, and it doesn't matter what age you are. I was 25 years old and I felt like I was freaking 80 years old, like literally having 2 sleeps a day. Like, what the hell is that? I was in shock, and I'm still in shock that. Well, I'm not now, but I was in shock for a really long time that could actually happen to me. I was a personal trainer, I was exercising, I was eating healthy, and that still happened. So your body, you should really take care of your body. It's the only body that you're going to get, and you really need to start taking care of it. The other thing is, is that, and I really preach this a lot, is that don't underestimate stress. Don't underestimate it, because it is a killer. Not only will stress affect the way that your body loses weight, so you'll find it really hard to lose weight when you're stressed out. But also from another level, like, just look at what stress did to me, and imagine what stress is doing to your body in so many other ways. And you know, the thing about stress is stress can be in so many different forms. Like for me, when I explained to you in that time, I had physical stress. So the physical stress was that I was overtraining. I was almost too active. I was walking everywhere, right? But it was too much, you know. Physical stress. I wasn't getting enough sleep. Like I was probably averaging 4 to 6 hours a night. Now, that's not enough for someone who was exercising the amount that I was exercising. It's not enough for someone who had that amount of stress either, you know, from a physical point of view. Physical point of view, I wasn't eating enough. I was under eating for my exertion. You know, I was exercising so much, running around everywhere, you know, doing personal training clients, which takes energy. You know, I was trying to build a business, all these things, like, you know, and I wasn't eating enough food. So from a physical point of view, I was freaking stressed out, right? From a psychological point of view, or emotional as well, I was worried about my finances, right? Because I just started a new business. So I was worried about that, which obviously a lot of people worry about finances, and that can create a lot of stress. So that was stressing me out, you know, and you know, also building a business. Like building a business is, it's a lot of pressure at the start, you know, because it's kind of like sink or swim, and that's basically how it was. It was sink or swim for me. And, you know, I still had to pay rent. I still had all these, you know, I still had to live, right, and still make money. So that was a huge stress for me. I also had the emotional stress of my old flatmate who was being horrible, leaving horrible voicemail, you know, on my voice messenger. You know, all those kind of things were, you know, horrible, and it was stressing me out because I do care what people think too much sometimes. And, you know, when that kind of things happens and you have a negative person in your life, that can really stress you out as well. So can you see there was so many different stresses? So in your life right now, you might have stress that you don't even realize is there. You know, this underlying stress. That's the same with me. I mean, I knew I was a little bit stressed out, but at the time I didn't feel like it. You know, that underlying stress is really that stress that you've got to be careful of, right? Because underlying stress is, you know, you're not aware of it. And what happens is you get so used to functioning on that level that you just don't even, like, it's not a thing, right? So very important that, you know, you start to look at your health and fitness goal, like, you know, or your weight loss goal. It's not just about exercising and nutrition, right? There's lifestyle factors. You've got to start looking at your life and trying to make it better and make it more healthier and positive, in all different terms. Like, for example, like, you might be in a job that you hate, and this is so common. Like, I've had clients that in the past who have been in jobs that they absolutely hate, right? And while they were at that job, they didn't lose any weight or very little weight. It was really hard, you know, really hard. And as soon as they've left the job, they've miraculously lost the weight, right? Because they've gained weight at that job because, first of all, they're unhappy. Second of all, they're binge eating or binge drinking to feel better, right? So they're going home at night time after a horrible day. They're like, thank God I got through that day. I'm going to have a packet of, or I'm going to have a block of chocolate or a couple of glasses of wine to reward myself, and stuff that I'm not freaking going to the gym because I just had a hard day. You know, so that kind of thing happens, and that's where the weight gain happens. That's why you find it hard to lose weight. But as soon as you get rid of something that's really toxic to you, or something that's really negative, or, for example, if you surround yourself with negative people all the time, once you get rid of those things, or those people, or whatever it may be, you'll feel more positive, and you won't feel the need to go for that release, whatever that release is for you. So, you know, whether a lot of people turn to food and a lot of people turn to alcohol, you know, it's a way of escaping bad feelings. It's a way of escaping bad emotions. It's a way of releasing stressor. It's a way of releasing pressure, and it's a way of releasing tension, right? That's all it is. As soon as you can, if you can get to happier in your everyday life and try to reduce your stress a little bit. Look, look, I'm not telling you not to do those things, because I still believe that those types of things can be healthy in some way. You still need a release. You still need, to enjoy yourself and whatever it may be. But I'm just talking about when it gets out of hand, and especially if you're trying to lose weight and you have a lot of weight to lose, it becomes a really bad problem, especially if you're doing it every single night, right? So, it's important that you start to figure out ways to feel happier in your everyday life, and figure out the things that are causing you extra stress and unnecessary stress. So like I said, stress is like the biggest killer ever. And just like my example and my story, don't think that you are unstoppable. Don't think that your body is a machine, because if you treat it horribly, and you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, there certainly is a breaking point. And that's really the message that I wanted to give to you guys today, because I know that women just, you just have so many things on your plate. You're trying to be everything to everyone, but at the end of the day, you do have to look after yourself. If you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to give anything to anyone else. And as selfish as you think that may be, a lot of women have guilt, and they think that it's being selfish, or they think that they should be spending that time with their children, or whatever it may be. As selfish as you think that is, it's actually not, right? It's more selfish of you to keep pushing it, right? Because you don't have much to give. You don't have much quality time, or you're not present because you feel horrible. Whereas if you're really looking after yourself first, you'll find that you'll be able to give more to the people that you really love. Anyway, I hope everyone has an amazing day, and if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about today, please let me know and leave a comment, and I'll be happy to get back to you soon.